Good evening. Welcome. Seems like only yesterday I was up here at this podium at this exact spot. I think it was November 13th of 2013. What's that, 4 some odd years? Seems like yesterday. But it's been a heck of a ride, and it's been a lot of fun, and it's a real pleasure to be up here again today. We want to really keep you informed of what's going on with the project. Obviously, this is a long-term effort, and a lot has happened since the last time we had a public forum, and we want to fill you in on that a little bit tonight. And also where we are now. We are extremely pleased with the progress we've made over the last 2 years, and we want to share that with you tonight. And of course, the plans for the future. You saw some of the renderings out in the lobby of things we'd like to see done. So by all means, we're going to have plenty of time for questions tonight. And we'll stay here as long as you want to ask questions, including out in the lobby, going through the renderings, sharing that with you a little bit. I'm Don Sunan. I'm president of PARC. And I'll be sharing the podium tonight with Mark Malcolm, who's our vice president. Mark and Patty Malcolm were so generous to secure this property so we could get it to this point, so you all have an opportunity to decide where we go with this. Mike Devine worked for Joe Phillips, our architectural firm. Mike, why don't you stand for a minute, just so people can recognize you. Mike's been on the board since the beginning. Extremely helpful to have someone of his caliber on our board of directors, and Mike's very active in there. Steve Ward. Steve was controller of Tower International. Really strong financial person, great history, and in some difficult situations and some challenging opportunities as well in his past. So he's very well placed for this particular position. Ted Barker could not be here tonight. Ted is the owner of Shaw Construction, owner and operator. He's out presenting to a township board somewhere on a new project they got going on there. But again, very accomplished builder and construction guy. Again, obviously a big help to us in this project. Next, we have our staff. I'd like to introduce our advisory board. We have 3 members on our advisory board. We're very selective about who we put on there. Some of you, I'm sure, know Ken Fisher, President Emeritus of the University Musical Society at the University of Michigan. Ken's got 30+ years in arts management, well known throughout the world. Probably one of the top 10 arts administrators in the world. Was at the White House a few months ago getting the award for very accomplished in the arts organizations. Jim Bernstein, some of you probably know him, screenwriter, Hollywood screenwriter. He's the director of U of M's screenwriter program. And Nan Washburn, who many of you know, as the music director and conductor for the Michigan Philharmonic. Also very accomplished staff. The management of our staff, Gail Grieger. Gail, stand up a minute. Gail's the executive director, very accomplished businesswoman, got a strong history. She's a lawyer and a very strong player in this operation. Marcia Kreza is a marketing director. Marcia next to her. Also had a long career with General Electric's plastic division. She's an MBA at University of Michigan. Obviously a very accomplished individual as well. Dan McMahon. Dan, where are you? Stan. Dan is the facility manager. Dan was with the school, I think 13 years with the school district, something like that. He knows that place inside and out. We couldn't open the doors in the morning without that guy. Carrie Smith, Carrie right there. Carrie is the director of our swim operations. She ran a swim program for the school district for 10 years, and now she works for us. So we picked off some of the school district's best and brightest to run this place. It's really necessary. That place is 100 years old, needs all the help it can get each and every day. I'd like to show you a short clip now of, go ahead, Marcia, short clip of our community leaders and what their feelings are with regard to the park project. Ellen, I'm ready when you are.
Many memories and stories from my aunts and uncles and my grandparents when they were alive about what this school meant to the community, and to see it transform into an arts and recreation complex for the next generation, the next several generations, is It's special to have this facility restored, to have it full of life and almost at full occupancy in just a couple short years, I think proves the power of an arts and recreation complex and what that can mean to a community like Plymouth.
The reality is that this location, being as prized as it is in downtown Plymouth, there could have been a lot of purposes for this land. From the school district's perspective, we couldn't be more happy that this place turned into a location where people can better their lives, where people can find community, where people can find activity. Three things that are all really important to us all as educators at Plymouth Canton Community Schools.
I see PARC as part of the overall recreation and cultural framework for the entire Plymouth community. It provides essential services and it fills in many of those recreation and cultural gaps that we at the township level can't provide.
All the research shows, all the anecdotes show that when you have a vibrant arts recreation complex that has a life to it and there's an energy in this space, it's going to attract not only the next generation of artists and entrepreneurs and musicians, but it's going to create an environment that will bring people to the community to invest, to raise their families because of the opportunity that PARC presents.
Arts and recreation is really part of the fabric of a community. It's as critical as good schools and good public safety and good infrastructure. It's really part of that cultural infrastructure, if you will, that makes a community great.
The reality is that PARC is going to turn into whatever the community wants it to be. And that's an awesome thing.
Obviously, we appreciate the support of the community leaders. And now Mark Malcolm is going to take you through kind of where we are now and where we're headed with it. And I'll come back to you after Mark finishes to go through the renderings and the like. I got to go another one. There we go, one slide up. But anyway, he'll take you through that, and then I'll come back on and we'll go through all the renderings and stuff you saw in the lobby. Okay, Mark, it's yours.
Thanks, Don. Happy New Year, everybody. As Don mentioned, I'm going to handle the first two items on here, what PARC is today and what PARC can become. Let's start with PARC's mission, which is straightforward and community-oriented, to enrich lives through quality arts, education, and recreation programs for all ages. Here are a handful of fast facts about where PARC stands today. There presently are more than 20 full-time rent-paying nonprofit tenants. Factoring in the activities in the pool and gymnasium, about 85% of the former Central Middle School is being utilized by PARC. Our best ballpark estimate is that about 3,000 people directly participate in activities at PARC, and that excludes those who attend performances and recreation events. And despite limitations in funding and presently allowable signage, the recent community recreation survey showed highly encouraging results of about 90% awareness of PARC, with about 85% saying that PARC adds value to the community. This is remarkable growth and success, well surpassing, in my opinion, any and all reasonable expectations. When you entered this evening, the video and photos that were being shown on the screen were activities at PARC, and the next group of slides will get quickly familiarized with the present tenant organizations, beginning first with the music-related tenants. The Downtown Music Academy offers private and group lessons for all ages. A friend of mine, after dropping off his daughter at a PARC activity, wandered into the Downtown Music Academy to check it out, and he's now fulfilling a lifelong ambition to play the guitar. In the Band provides community and support for creators and appreciators of music. Most participants are in their teens and early 20s. They held 7 showcase performances at PARC last year. Hector Cattetti teaches violin. Hector's certainly well qualified. He plays in the Michigan Philharmonic and is conductor of the youth orchestra. Speaking of the Michigan Philharmonic Youth Orchestra, it offers aspiring young musicians a full program of 3 orchestras and a flute choir, a wind ensemble, and yearly side-by-side performances with the professionals of the Michigan Phil. About 140 youngsters participate in the youth orchestra, which performed twice at PARC in 2017. And there is, of course, the Michigan Philharmonic itself. Simply put, the Michigan Philharmonic is, next to the Detroit Symphony, arguably the most important orchestra in Southeast Michigan. PARC presently has 4 tenants who focus on 4 different areas of the performing arts. Artistry dance offers a variety of classes for both children and adults. As opposed to competitive dance, the focus is on technique and alignment, choreography, and performance art. The Mitten Theater began providing improv comedy shows this past fall on the weekends. There are family and kid-friendly shows and adult shows. The Mitten Theater is directed by a former actor and instructor with the famous Second City. Every review I saw online was a full 5 stars for both the adult and family shows. And having recently attended a show myself, I recommend you go with some friends and check it out. Main Street Opera Theater showcases full-on opera and also operatic theatrical performances staged and performed with care to make the music and subject matters very approachable and understandable. You'll be very impressed by the vocal talents on display. Main Street Opera performed 10 times last year at PARC. Forever After Productions is an incredibly active group providing high-quality family entertainment. With about 200 mostly young people involved on stage and with all aspects of production support, Forever After last year staged 10 different musicals and plays at PARC, nearly one every month. Turning now to the visual arts, Central Park Art Studio has a potter's wheel and kiln and offers classes, workshops, and single-session events for beginning to experienced potters of all ages. Barrack Design Studio gives painting lessons and hosts painting parties for small groups of all ages. In one of the areas of the school warehouse, we're prepared to subdivide into small spaces to make it more affordable for artists, especially those who may be starting out. Amy Fell's the first person in this artist collective. Chris Craft Photography is available for senior pictures, families, businesses, you name it. The proprietor of Diorama Productions is a documentary filmmaker whose work has aired on Detroit Public Television and elsewhere. Tony Rocco has been named the Detroit area's best fine artist for 3 consecutive years. Tony has painted commissions for the likes of Jay Leno, Lady Gaga, and closer to home, the beer labels for Atwater Brewery. Tony operates Art Foundation at PARC in partnership with Wolverine Human Services to foster creative minds for at-risk children. PARC even has culinary arts, which is great evidence that virtually every part of the former school is being adaptively repurposed and productively used. The Proud Mitten Shared Kitchen is housed in the kitchen that was used to prepare school meals. I think of it as a commercial kitchen incubator for aspiring food entrepreneurs. There already are 10+ local folks working to build their unique products into Michigan food businesses. Some of those products have made their way onto the shelves at West Point. The Simple Kitchen resides in the old home ec room. In addition to catering and providing meals and edible gifts, the Simple Kitchen specializes in small group cooking classes for both children and adults. How terrific a teacher is the proprietor, Kristen? I've witnessed a class with young boys where the boys were totally focused, attentive, and working together productively on what they were creating. Amazing. No wonder every review I've seen online for the Simple Kitchen is 5 stars. This last group of PARC tenants covers recreation, education, and civic. The cruisers who practice in PARC's pool have long been a tremendous development and feeder program for high school and college swimming. Mini cruisers can begin at age 6. The Steelers have a tradition of more than 40 years of youth football and cheer programs, presently with about 250 participants. Home games are played in the same place where football in Plymouth has been played since the 1880s. Z-Spot Fitness offers a variety of classes that emphasize cardiovascular endurance, strength, and flexibility. Z-Spot has a large following, with group and individual classes available for teenagers through senior citizens of every fitness level. You may have recently seen Peter Nielsen, longtime health and fitness guru, reporting on TV from Z-Spot on the benefits of Zumba. For those interested, lessons are offered in line dancing. The Rotary has a long and distinguished track record of volunteer service and charity for our community. The Rotary AM group has a room at PARC for its weekly meetings. The Plymouth Christian Academy robotics team prepares at PARC for its regional and national robotics competitions. A tenant called Momentum Therapy just signed a lease today, so it's not on this slide. They provide education and counseling to children and adults with autism, speech and language issues, and learning disabilities. And there is, of course, the College for Creative Studies. CCS is world-renowned, the #1 auto design school in the U.S. and in the conversation for #1 in the world, with alumni working at every major auto OEM. CCS is also among the top-ranked schools in other design and creative areas. It's 112 years old and never had a permanent 4-credit operation outside its home base of Detroit, until now, at PARC, beginning with 15 offered classes, a phenomenal resource for Plymouth. In addition to the offerings from our tenants, here are a few of the ongoing programs run directly by PARC. If you're familiar with pickleball, you know how popular a sport it's become. If you're not familiar, come see it. Pickleball courts are set up in the gym from noon to 3 p.m. on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, only $3 per session. We typically have 50 to 60 participants per week, normally ages 45 and up. Social walking is free indoor exercise. There's a lot of hallway to walk through at PARC, and it beats them all. How active is the PARC Aquatics program? Last year, about 700 different people of all ages swam in PARC's heated pool. You can do one open swim for $5, or get a 10-visit punch card good for 60 days for $40. Various programs and lessons for all ages are also offered. Visit PlymouthPark.com for details. Come check it out. As we look forward to potential new tenants coming in 2018, keep your fingers crossed regarding the Detroit Institute of Arts. We had a fantastic year with the DIA in 2017, helping Plymouth host their great Inside Out program, having the DIA Away mobile interactive learning center at PARC, and the head of the DIA visited Plymouth for his first time in order to give a free presentation at PARC. As a follow-up, we're working collaboratively with the DIA on a couple potential exhibits or activities at PARC in 2018 as we try to establish an ongoing relationship for the mutual benefit of Plymouth's residents and the DIA. I'd also like to leave you in some suspense with the teaser comment that we're hopeful of landing another major, highly reputable organization in the near future, which, if it happens, will add even further to the quality, breadth, and depth of PARC's tenants. If I can, I'm going to pause just for a second and ask, just by a show of hands, now that I've gone through everything that happens at PARC, any of you who's surprised by just how much is going on at PARC? If you just raise your hands. Excellent. Now, I hope you're going to follow up to learn more. We've got a website, check it out. We've got a Facebook page, check it out. Stop by the building. Take advantage of any of these opportunities I discussed to participate or to attend. It'll be good for you, and I guarantee it'll be good for these worthwhile organizations. Now I'd like to shift to consider what else we need to do to keep PARC strong and viable and achieve its full potential to benefit our community. It's important perspective to realize that this is not a pie-in-the-sky plan. It's grounded in the reality of more than 2 years of real-world experience operating PARC, demonstrating the strong demand that exists in our community, validating the effectiveness of PARC's business model, getting intimately familiar with the existing 100-year-old building, developing, prioritizing, adjusting, and tuning a plan that now provides a clear and achievable path forward for PARC to become an incredible, sustainable, value-added asset for us all. Kellogg Park, Penn Theater, Westbourne Market in the historic post office. You knew I had to get that in somewhere. These are places that contribute to the character and unique fabric and desirability of the Plymouth community. And so can PARC, with a planned scope and quality unmatched by anything in this region. The cost to achieve the plan we're reviewing this evening is $30 million. About half of that will be for the existing facility and site acquisition cost and infrastructure. The other half will add a performing arts center. Before providing some detail about the planned spending, let's first address a couple questions that would be important to me if I were sitting in your seat this evening. First, will the Plymouth community truly benefit from PARC? I and others start out with a biased positive opinion, while some of you likely have a biased negative opinion. Anderson Economic Group is an unbiased international research and consulting firm that specializes in evaluating these types of projects and predicting the impact on a community based on a wealth of experience with the results that were achieved in other communities. The independent expert's summary conclusion was overwhelmingly positive. I quote, "The proposed renovations in the Performing Arts Theater at the Park will bring numerous long-term benefits to the Plymouth community, including quality of life and economic benefits." And when you think about it, isn't it common sense that improved quality of life is highly correlated with higher property values? A second important question worth addressing right up front is, can PARC really avoid losing money every year? Many of us are well aware that Canton and other communities annually incur significant losses running similar operations, with local taxpayers inevitably having to subsidize those losses. If that were to happen with PARC, that would make the total cost $30 million for the initial capital investment, plus the cost of covering ongoing annual losses. Don and I vowed from the beginning that that would not be acceptable to us, and we would not bring forward such a plan to you. When we were confident that we had solved the ongoing business equation, we invited an independent expert to analyze PARC's business plan. Stout Regis Ross serves clients as big as Fortune 500 companies. After evaluating PARC, they concluded, quote, "Based on our forecast of income, expenses, and performance projections of the existing and proposed development, our study of the business operations of the projects indicates the future operation will be feasible," end quote. They actually projected the PARC will earn a modest profit, though we're not signing up for that. So how can the bottom line financial result be so much better at PARC? In the independent expert's words, quote, "PARC has created a competitive advantage over similar properties by simply renting out the facilities to users. This methodology of operating the facilities allows for long-term tenants to occupy the office space and former classrooms, which provides for a more stable income stream for a large portion of the facility," end quote. 3 stories of rooms is a tremendous asset and business advantage that other facilities just don't have. With good utilization, we get the benefit of economies of scale, with tenants paying cash rent while requiring little added cost from PARC. The other meaningful difference is that PARC is a private enterprise, run like a business, paying close attention to costs, as opposed to the government-staffed operations in other communities. Listed here are some of the planned modernizations and improvements to the existing facility. For heating and cooling, good news is that the old boilers have been thoroughly inspected and should last a long time. We just need some updated controls for the rooms. We'll put good new climate control systems in the large special purpose areas, the pool, gym, and small theater, but we'll use room air conditioners in the classrooms during the warm months. This practical approach to heating and cooling will work fine and save millions versus installing all new systems throughout. Plumbing, electrical, and roof sections will be repaired and replaced as needed. 2 important cosmetic changes that will make the building feel much better and more alive are new windows and modernized bathrooms. Here's the building today with the window fill-ins that were done in the 1970s for misguided energy conservation reasons. They're hideous, and they block out most of the natural light. Here's what the building will look like restored, with new full-size windows very much in keeping with the original look of this historic building. The bathrooms in the building have a lot of wear and tear from being a large and active school. This is a photo of one bathroom we updated to determine the good outcome that can be achieved at reasonably modest cost. Some of the additional actions planned for the existing building include adapting the cafetorium into a good, flexible small theater, adding an enclosed entry from the rear parking lot because it's a long, exposed walk today in cold and inclement weather, removing the 1970s drop ceilings, and replacing fluorescent fixtures with warm LEDs. Here's a photo of what we refer to as the model classroom. It has the new windows, it restores the original 12-foot ceiling, and has schoolhouse-style LED lights. Like the model bathroom, we did this to demonstrate the planned major improvement and also get realistic cost estimates for the entire building. Bottom line, total capital spending for the existing building is estimated at $7 to $8 million. That's a mere fraction of what it would cost for a new building, and the rehabilitated existing building will almost certainly outlast a new one. They just don't build them like that anymore. As with any site like this, there will be expensive stormwater environmental requirements. Additional infrastructure spending will be required for utilities, landscaping, including a buffer for residential neighbors, and planned improvements in traffic flow. In addition to adding some parking, the existing lot desperately needs improvement. Site acquisition and infrastructure are projected to cost about $8 million. Saving and repurposing the existing school would definitely be a good thing, but that alone would be inadequate to fully achieve PARC's mission and potential. Adding a performing arts complex center and integrating it into an arts and recreation complex would significantly increase the vitality of and long-term viability of both the existing and the new facilities. This is a case where 1 + 1 can most definitely equal 3. The planned Performing Arts Center is smartly sized at about 800 seats. Multiple independent experts have concluded that about 800 seats is the sweet spot to satisfy demand in Plymouth and optimize financial results. A smaller size would preclude numerous potential users. That is one of the fatal flaws of Canton's 400-seat Cherry Hill Theater. An estimated 100 to 125 event dates per year are needed to achieve cash profit break-even. Likely users of PARC's Performing Arts Center were surveyed, and the presently indicated demand is 150 or more dates. In addition to this promising revenue outlook, overhead costs would be much less than for a standalone venue because PARC will be able to share personnel on an as-needed basis with the existing school facility. At a projected cost of $13 to $14 million, the Performing Arts Center has been carefully designed to provide key functionality and be aesthetically pleasing without extravagance or excess cost. It may come as no surprise that conductor Nan Washburn would dearly love a proper and fitting home for the Michigan Philharmonic. Ann Parsons, the president and CEO of the Detroit Symphony Orchestra, is likewise enthused. She essentially told us that the planned Performing Arts Center could become the Western Wayne County home for the DSO. And it may only be 2 times a year or 4 times a year, and it won't be Beyonce or Eminem, but the senior talent promoter for Live Nation Michigan said he can book us acts like Simon and Garfunkel as often as once a month if the community wants. We could go on with more quotes from enthusiastic potential users, but the main point to remember is that demand for this type of performing arts center in this location has been thoroughly researched and validated as very strong. There is, of course, the little matter of paying for this plan. A capital funding campaign was recently launched to try to raise as much as possible through charitable donations from individuals, foundations, and companies. In an ideal world, the entire $30 million would be raised through donations. Realistically, however, that would be many times more than has ever been raised in Plymouth. Therefore, we fully expect this great potential asset for our community will only become a reality through a private-public partnership, with Plymouth voters deciding one day in the future whether or not to fund the remaining gap after the private donations through a tax millage, assuming agreement can be reached with the township and city regarding ownership and operating arrangements for the facilities and property. Because the project will only move forward if it gets fully funded, we are presently requesting pledge commitments to the capital campaign. For your financial planning and flexibility, it is anticipated that pledges could be completed in up to 3 annual donations in fall 2018, mid-2019, and mid-2020. We'll circle back with final details to those who make pledges when the capital campaign is completed, successfully or not. Depending on the size of a pledge donation, there will be various naming and recognition opportunities. You can have your name on the Performing Arts Center for a generous contribution of $7 million. Or if we get 2 pledges of $3.5 million each, we'll put 2 names on the building. On the other end of the scale, you can have your name on a seat for $500 or $1,000. For your reference and considerations, the full list of naming opportunities, which I'm going to flip through 2 other slides here, it's included in a brochure that will be available for you to look at this evening that will include much of the information in this presentation. For those of you who support the vision for PARC but are unable to pledge financial support, we encourage you to explore and enjoy activities at PARC to help generate enthusiasm and participation with your friends and neighbors. All support makes a positive difference and is greatly appreciated. Some quick final thoughts before I turn it back to Don. To build a brand new complex like this would likely cost about 2 to 3 times as much as PARC's plan, without retaining the historic character of this iconic Plymouth building. And that's if one could even find this much property, more than 16 acres available in such a great location. That's why this truly is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, benefiting all of us now through additional options in the arts, recreation, education, entertainment, and higher projected property values, but also providing a lasting legacy contribution that will benefit generations to come. Working together, we can leave Plymouth better than we found it. Now here's Don.
Thanks, Mark. You know, it's fun going to work every day and being able to work with guys like him. They're really smart. They know what they're doing. They keep you from making really dumb mistakes, you know. It's a great time. Now I get to talk about the really exciting stuff, you know. I want to share with you a little bit tonight what we have in mind here for the site plan, what we want to do, a little more detail on the renovation to the existing building, and some details on a new performing arts center. The site plan looks something like this, and I'll walk you through it because it can get a little complicated. Here's the existing school, all right, and here's the entrance in the rear. Here's Main Street, Church Street, Adams, tennis courts if you're familiar with them, and the football field, the running track, Miracle League over here, Cultural Center here, Farmer, and as I said, Adams. This is a big grassy field where they play football on it today. Obviously, we have plans for that. And this is the new Performing Arts Center, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that. The school, as Mark mentioned, will get a full treatment. There's 191 windows in that school. That's a bit pricey, but it is ugly. I mean, it is ugly. I got to go to work in that place every day. But we can make it a whole lot better and really restore it back to its original look and feel. The rear entrance, I swear, we have the ugliest piece of real estate in the entire city of Plymouth. The rear entrance, that activity entrance into the school, is something to behold. We will add a whole section. Here's the entrance to the pools, those of you that know it. We've got gymnasium, the locker rooms and the like. Parking lots back here. Here's where you would come into the main entrance of the school. We're going to put about a $500,000 addition onto the back, really making an artsy entrance to the school and really do it upright. And this area back here, obviously, and we'll do more landscaping in here. I don't like the concrete. We'll make this a nice parky area. If you walk out the back of the school, go straight back, and you're walking towards the cultural center from the school, this is what you'd be looking at. This is the new Performing Arts Center, and you walk out the back door, this is it. We got a parking lot here, parking down both sides, and parking in the rear. And we have, in a neighborhood of 800 parking spots on the site. The theater requires, by code, 1 car for every 3 people. That's about 275 cars. We've got 800. Now, of course, we have other things going on as well. Parking will not be a problem. This is a picture of the theater. It's about 565 seats on the first floor, about 235 on the second floor that I'll show you in a minute. Large lobby area. When you have 800 performers, you got intermissions and the like. You need space to go with people during breaks and intermissions. I insisted on doubling the women's restrooms, literally double what's required. I don't ever want to hear about we don't have enough women's restrooms. Not in my life. And then we got functional areas for, where you could have dinners and the like, and there's a catering service area back here. A truck dock that they can back semis into the truck dock and unload and wheel directly onto the stage, all on the same level. We did a lot of work in working with various performing groups and consulting with them and the like to see what we need to do. 55-foot stage. It's probably the only stage in the entire area that's got that size of Salem Auditorium, give you some idea. The Village Theater is at 39, we're at 55, so it'll give you an idea of the difference in the size. Flex space over here, office spaces, rehearsal space, performers, dressing rooms and the like, all the things that you need in a proper performing arts center. The balcony, as I said, 265 seats, restrooms, some lobby or areas up here, box seat areas on each side, but relatively modest. I mean, this is not going to be extravagant by any measure. Here's some ideas, some concepts that we'd be looking at for design concepts, theater, something like this, and like this. I don't like this. We got to get rid of all that. And then, from the front of the building, if it's glassed in and it's open, you can make it a very, very attractive place. Now, here's the drone shot, your bird shot, whatever. This is Adams. This is tennis courts. The only thing we lose on this project are 3 tennis courts. Right now there's 6, and they extend out to about here, but there's not much we could do about that. But really, I think the 3 tennis courts are probably adequate for 95% of the time. They're open to folks in the community to use. We don't charge for it. We do on occasion if we have competitions out there. But then you can see we've really dressed up this area coming into the parking lot, and then this whole circular area here has got good traffic flow. Here's where you would unload into the school. Here's the warehouse, the school. Here's where the gymnasium is, the pool, the locker rooms here and here. And one of the things that we're very careful about is making sure we got traffic patterns in here that work. And you'll be able to come in off of Farmer. That'll be the entrance there. We got another entrance off Farmer there. We have another one off Theodore. We have one off Main Street and 2 off of Adams. And so we should be in a position to have very, very good traffic flow without congestion. And I think with 6 entrances and exits to the site, we should never have an issue. This is a view of it from the rear. This is Adams. Farmers down over here. Cultural center there. The football stadium, press box, and the like. Here's where the truck well is in the back over on this side, pretty well hidden away for loading and unloading. And we're putting in substantial berms in between here and landscaping to, as best we can, insulate the site from the neighbors. Here would be an entrance, obviously. A lot of landscaping, and we'll probably find some opportunities to put some more in the center of the parking lot. We probably need to dress that up a little bit. Here's where the school's at now, as you know. So what this does too, I think it really gives it a campus feel. With a school, with a pool and a gymnasium and a classroom and all the arts activities here and a performing arts center and a football stadium and running track and a Miracle League and the ice arena, the cultural center. This is now a 22-acre site right in the heart of our city for arts and recreation. Show me another community of this kind in this size that has an opportunity to have arts and recreation facilities that we'll have here right at the heart of our city, all within walking distance of probably a dozen different restaurants and the like, and of course lots of trains, but that's another issue. Now, if you're coming in off Farmer in the back, all right, this is what you would, this would be the approach into the site from the rear. I think right now that space back there is pretty ugly. I mean, it needs some major work. And this would be an opportunity to just wipe that all out, start over, have very appropriate parking, good traffic flow, good landscaping. We can really dress up the neighborhood with what we plan to do out back. You know, I kind of went through this a few years ago, and Alan can tell you all about this, but we were 2 weeks away from the Penn Theater getting the wrecking ball, literally 2 weeks away. And folks in the community stepped up and said, you know, we can't have that. So a bunch of us got together and we put that deal together in very short order because no one could stand to bear the thought that the Penn Theater would get torn down and we'd bring in some more condos or retail or whatever. And so just imagine what downtown Plymouth would be today without the Penn Theater, without this place. And look at the improvements they were able to make, the success they've had here, all new seats, new curtains, new restrooms, new kitchen upstairs, projection equipment, new roof, new doors in front, HVAC, all in a relatively short period of time. This was a hugely successful endeavor with the Penn Theater. And we have an opportunity to have the same kind of success with the PARC project. And again, imagine if it's bulldozed down and it's gone and God knows whatever ends up coming in there to replace it. We got to think about, you know, not only is this what we want to do, but what are the alternatives? You know, if we don't do this, then what? What comes next? And you know, one should pause on that one. This is what the theater would look like coming in off of Adams. Pretty good idea. I don't think it's overly imposing. You know, it's 43,000 square foot structure, that's true, but we've done what we can to minimize the impact of that. Even, you know, I found out a bit from these architects, the colors that you select for the various materials on the external walls gives a sense of size. So, you know, you do what you can to minimize the impact of that on the site. But, you know, right now, there's a lot of things going on here now. It's been a school. It's been used for all kinds of athletic activities. We've had a lot of things going on here now. It's not like we're taking virgin territory and doing this to it. I threw this one in at the last minute. If you think about everything that's gone on here and all the studies and the rest of it, and I reflect on what all the business case folks and the market survey folks and said, okay, why PARC and why Plymouth? Of all the places you could go in southeastern Michigan, why is this place so popular in Plymouth? I've got all the regional arts organizations chomping at the bit. They're calling me, wanting to know if they can book dates for 2020. We're crying out loud, I haven't got the money yet, you know? And they already want to book. Major regional arts organizations. And obviously we've demonstrated a need. In 2 short years, we'll almost fill that place up. And we're doing just fine on operations, but you know, you can't sustain it with the facilities we have. The lack of a mid-sized performance space in the area. We are 20 miles away from another 800-seat performing arts center. And our local arts organizations, they're going to Saline, they're going everywhere, but here, in order to do dance recitals, various performances. We got one dance group in Canton, right on the border with Plymouth. They're booking 14 days at the Saline High School every year. They hate going there. It's too far. There's no restaurants. They don't have a choice. There's not another place around. Salem Auditorium, we got one auditorium for 3 high schools. Livonia has a performing arts center in each one of their 3 high schools. Now, you know, the school district tried twice to build a performing arts center. One time they got cold feet at the last minute because they weren't going to get support, and the second time it got turned down. But there's a need there, and there'll be a big user of this. We got Schoolcraft College needs one. They can only have a 200-seat facility. They do nursing graduations 4 times because they don't have facilities. They'll be all over this place. So you go down through the list, there's a tremendous demand, a DSO, Michigan Opportunity, Motor City Brass Band, Michigan Philharmonic. There's, you know, anybody wants to see the list, I got them. I talked to every single one of them, sat down with them, talked about number of dates, make sure it all made sense. Last thing I wanted to do is waste 6 years of my life chasing this thing down if it wasn't going to work. But there is tremendous demand. And then you look at why. We're halfway between Detroit and Ann Arbor and between Birmingham, Bloomfield, and the southern communities. This is the spot in the western suburbs that you would put these kinds of facilities, without a doubt. That came from the market study people, from the business case people, and all the arts organizations. This is where they want to go. And then you look at the amenities downtown Plymouth. Where could you put a performing arts center that's right in the middle of town? There is nowhere. It's impossible. So that is a tremendous advantage to having that facility here. And then you look at the demographics in Plymouth and in neighboring communities, Novi, Northville, Livonia, Canton. This is a very, very affluent community, and we spend on entertainment and recreation 150% of what the rest of the people in Michigan spend on entertainment and recreation. So they spend the money here in arts and recreation. So there's an opportunity here to expand our reach and to take advantage of it. Excellent freeway access. I saw the study that was done where they were going to build Comerica Park, the baseball park. It was supposed to be in Plymouth. That was the #1 choice at the intersection of 275 and M14 or 96. #1, and Mike Illich says, nah, we're going to put it in downtown Detroit. But we are really in a sweet spot of putting these kinds of facilities. Now, we're not going to draw crowds like the Tiger Stadium would have or Comerica Park, obviously. But there's a lot of data out there to suggest this is a very, very good location. And we'll have generous parking. Parking will not be a problem. We don't have to charge for it. You know what? You go downtown, you pay $20 to park your car and fight to find a spot and all the rest of it. You come in here, you come in out the freeway, drive in, no parking charges, quick walk to the theater, through the back door. You're 100 steps from your seat. You talk about an ideal facility. Anyway, those are kind of the things that I think make Plymouth really attractive for this. On your way out, we've got some brochures that explain the project, a 16-page brochure which gives a lot of information. You're welcome to help yourself to that. And of course, we're always looking for some money too. So we got donor cards out there. If you're so inclined, you're moved to, you're welcome to pick one up and have a look at it and help us out there.